Hello guys, we have successfully uh, been modeling all these objects from scratch, and now all is left is to set the scene. So in this video, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to append all these objects from those blends we have been creating, and yeah, we're going to create these controllers, and at the same time this is going to be a really nice and clean outliner. So yeah, let's start. This is the blend walls, roof and floor. I highly recommend you to start from this. With F2 you can save as, and I will rename this modeling result, and that's how we will start with this. We have in our first four layers, all these objects, and with Shift F1 we can append objects for another blends. In this layer I will bring all the chair objects, which in this case are just these three. By the way, I rename all those objects. If you didn't do it, I won't need the backups or the cube. So okay, that's it. First we're going to append all these objects, and then we're going to make them match with the scene. I will bring the sofa to this layer. I'm working right now with layer 11. I won't be using the backups, so I'm not going to append those objects. Okay, 12th layer I will bring the table. I'm doing this with B. It's just as in the tree view by selecting objects. It's pretty much the same, and I think if you use A you could select all the objects. Now there's just one thing left, and is a small table. So now let's start adjusting all these things to the scene. First I will start with the sofa. Because it is a reference, and this should be touching the floor. That's basically the important thing here. We don't want this to be in the air. This should be really close to the curtain, but at the same time we're going to give it some space, just like that. Now we're going to keep doing this, but with the table. You should give some space here. And now we're going to work with the small table. Okay, we have to duplicate this small table in the lamp. I will do it from cursor. We will do it with Alt D. Remember that these are duplicate, a linked duplicate. And now I will rename those objects. Okay, now with the chair, we're going to be rotating this object, as you can remember, but we're going to rotate this with the controller. So right now all I want to do is just make it match with the floor, and then we're going to be doing the rotation and all that stuff. Okay, now let's add the controllers, and let's start with the chair. Okay, I will be moving the cursor to those vertex. I will duplicate this and scale it. See, from cursor to 0. Now I will use the cursor right in the middle and then delete those vertex. The controller is just an empty, so we add an empty and rename as chair controller. We're going to change display mode. By default, this comes as plane axis. I will be using single arrow, and you can change the size here by 2 meters or 1 meter or half meter, but I like the way it is looking. So now we're going to select all these objects and Ctrl P to parent, set a parent. Okay, now we're going to create a group with Ctrl G and rename the group as chair. Yeah, this time we are using the groups mostly because if we use Shift G, we could use group and select everything related with the chair in case that you don't need just to move the arrow. This time, because we have not too much things um, and we're organized, you could do it by layer too, but you know, with complex scenes, create a group of objects, something really useful. Now with the sofa, pretty much the same. Something I really have to, or I really want to do, I want to do it front floor, mostly because it's easier to work that way. Again, I really like the size 1. parent again, rename this as sofa controller, and again I will create a group of objects with Ctrl G. This time it's going to be sofa. Now with the table, pretty much the same. Cursor to selected, duplicate the middle vertex, cursor to selected, delete the vertices, and then I an empty single arrow. This time we could be using a smaller one, like that 5 is okay. Again, set a parent, and again create a group, which is going to be table. I say table. This is because I create some groups before just making few tests, and now we should rename this stable controller. Okay. Now I will be using a bigger one here, small table 1 controller. Okay, set a parent again, Ctrl G. I'm using copy paste here. You could use it inside of Blender just in case you didn't realize. Okay, we will duplicate all this, so indeed you could rename this as chair 1A, and then I don't know, something like that. Because we will create a linked duplication of this object, and yeah, to get a really clean outliner, you have to rename this. This time you change all with B, and that's pretty much what you should do. Is not so hard. Okay, I will create something like this for the curtains. Okay, and here when I move the controller, you will notice that when I'm moving it, I have that weird movement, and it's because you should parent the lattice to the controller, because the lattice is modifying the mesh, and yeah, if you don't have a parent, the lattice just will be there. Okay, now with all these objects we will create a group, contain, and this will be retain controller. I will create a controller for the frames and a group, but I will modify a few things. For example, I will rotate this, and we're going to use it like dot 3 or dot 2. Okay, that's fine. Set a parent, rename, and create a group. Okay, and here I will add an empty, which is going to be controlling all these things. So I will call this as base controller or something like this. Okay, now if remember that if you are having some troubles because of subserve, you could use simplify. Now I will set my tree view just close as I want the render. I will add a camera, and I will tell to the camera that use my current tree view to set the camera. I will do that with Control Alt 0, and yeah, well, it's not working like the way I want, and I want to change something here with the camera. Even with this is not going to be a render settings tutorial. Yeah, we're going to be modifying the focal length. We'll be using like 25. You will see that I will do something over there like 10, and you see how much this can change the way this is looking like. You could tweak this, and if you got something better than this, cool. Now for now, okay, I have resolution, but maybe you have something like I don't know. I don't remember the default. I think this is something like this, but yeah, this time um, I changed resolution. Okay, I will set the camera like looking up, rotate Z-axis, not too much, but yeah. I'm using Shift F, which is like flight mode. Okay, now I will move the chairs and rotate and all that stuff. I will show you how our outliner is looking like, and yeah, you can see that even when we have all these objects, which are more than 50, we have this really clean outliner with these triangles with edges and vertex, I guess. And if you open this, you will see every single object. For example, here you can even see the lattice, and then you can even open this and change a few more things like the modifiers. And yeah, you can play around with this for a while. For now, I will quit simplify, and with the frame, I would like to clear the parent and keep the transformation just for a while, because I would really like to move the controller. Here is like annoying, and honestly we're not going to be moving these frames too much, so I will be using this right here at the top. And now set the parent again. um, well guys, you can even play with these things even more if you want. If you are trying to make an animation and all that stuff, and you want to change the camera, of course you could do it, but yeah, I highly recommend you to change the focal length. The default preset is not really good for architectural rendering, and I really hope you enjoy all these tutorials, guys, and you learn a lot of things. We're working in the rendering tutorials, and I really hope you enjoy those ones too. So yeah guys, see you in another video.